direction would you like to place it in?
Oh, I didn't put it in here. I'm playing.
Yeah. 2026. Every block, every ballot, every voice. This ain't left or right. This is right now. OVC. Teachers shaping minds. Vets who stood strong. Gig workers hustling just to get along. Parents, elders, first time voters in line. Same clock ticking, same moment in time. No dark money whispers. No backroom deals. Daylight choices and the truth that's real. Labels don't own us. We bigger than signs. Accountability lives where democracy thrives.
Our vote counts. Yeah, remember the name. Every voice heard. We don't play no games. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we found. Our vote counts. Stand tall, no doubt. Integrity first. Let the people speak loud. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United
Clear facts, no spin. Education unlocked. Breaking down the process from the door to the box. Who earns the trust? Who shows up to serve? Asking the questions. Leaders got nerves. Neighborhoods talking. Town halls packed. Local voices first. Yeah, we built it like that. Different faiths fused so walking as one. Democracy stronger when we all get it done. Yeah.
Our vote counts, yeah, remember the name. Every voice heard. We don't play no games. From coast to coast, let the movement expand. Power in the people, future in our hands. Our vote counts, stands tall, no doubt. When we show up informed, that's what it's all about. Our vote counts, stand tall, no doubt. When we show up informed, that's what it's all about.
This ain't no cycle. Nah, this is a standard. Long-term vision, principles planned. From schools to the boards, up to the higher seats. We connect the dots from the block to the streets. Peaceful power, respect and demand. Integrity measured by actions, not plans. OVC active, participation mounts. When the people stand ready, turnout counts. Yeah.
Our vote counts, yeah, remember the name. Every voice heard. We don't play no games. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we found. Our vote counts, stand tall, no doubt. Integrity first. Let the people speak loud. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we found.
Every voice,
Every voice,
every vote,
every vote.
integrity, inclusion, accountability. OVC,
OVC.
yeah. 2026. My vote counts, and so does yours.
Oh, that would be because my phone was on mute. Thank you. I said our vote counts. Thank you. Disconnecting. That is our theme song. Our vote counts. Remember the name. Every voice heard. Let the people sing. Okay? All right, y'all. Y'all come in, tap that screen. Make sure you send your daily heart means up here. Let me make sure I send mine. All right, I don't need to send a comment. I just want to send the heart. Hello, Miss Pam. Welcome, everybody. Tonight we will be talking to Cyril, I'll ask. I'm going to say Cyril Jefferson, and he is running out of North Carolina's 6th district. It's actually one of the places I lived in North Carolina, which is Greensboro. Excuse me. And so I'm excited to talk to him, see if he can bring some changes to Greensboro. And I know I say that in my whole DC accent. That is not how they say Greensboro. But hey, whatever. Y'all tap. Share the live out. Make sure y'all are sending your daily heart means. And don't forget these goals up here, okay? All right. And let me see. Y'all tell me how it is in your neck of the woods. Are you hot? Are you cold? The snow tried to get me yesterday here in DC. But yeah, I juked it like a boxer. So it is cold. Well, it says it's currently 36, but with the wind blowing, it feels colder. But we didn't get that snow like the northern parts did. New York, Boston, they got hit hard. And fortunately for us, it didn't get cold enough till it got over us. So I'm glad about that, because I swear I didn't want to see no more snow. We had the last snowstorm that came through here. The snow stayed on the ground for a month. So I didn't need no more snow, y'all. Believe that. Thank you, love. Okay, Miss Pam, Miss Wendy, but is it cold? Because I'm jealous of anybody where it's cold. I mean, where it's warm right now. So, is it warm? I mean, I know you in the northern California area, so it could be cold. But, you know, people like Thickums down there in 90-degree weather. Boo. So, it's in the 40s. Okay, yeah, like I said, we at 36 right now. Like I said, isn't super bad. It could be colder. This has actually been a rather warm winter. I can remember, I think even just last year, we had several weeks, at least 2 weeks of like 17 degrees, 18 degrees, like that. And I don't think we've only might have dipped that low 1 week so far out of this 2 winter months. So it's a cold 30. I want to say when that wind chill factor happens. Hey, G Money. When that wind chill factor comes into play, yeah, it's 23 there, blessings, and full of snow. And full of snow. Well, let me tell y'all what. I don't care if it's a blistering 90 degrees or if it's a cold 20 below. Get your butt out there and vote. You heard me? Get out there and vote. Make sure your vote counts. Make sure your voice is heard. You cannot You cannot complain or celebrate, for that fact, anything that happens with the government, and that's the big governments, the little governments, the really, really local governments. You cannot complain or celebrate any of it if you did not have a voice in it, period. So make sure you go have a voice. I was having this conversation earlier with someone I know that isn't particularly into politics. However, I let this person know that he's in the mindset that it doesn't matter. Whatever's going to be, going to be. And I had to let him know that the system will work based on who's running it, or it won't work. So it's up to you to put the people in there that's going to run it properly. It's up to you. And if you just sit back and say, hey, I mean, they're going to pick who they want to pick anyway. That's not true. That's what they want you to believe, so that your voice isn't heard and you don't have an impact on how this country is run, how your city is run, how your state is run. If nobody shows up, you will be under the control of the 20 people that did show up. You heard me? All right, y'all. So we're going to be talking to... I did not mean to hit that. I was trying to hit something else. We're going to be talking to Cecil tonight. Hey, PD. This your area, PD. Well, maybe not quite. This is District 6. I'm not sure if you're in District 6 or not, but this is North Carolina. And but they running for a U.S. House seat. Right. It would not be a thing, Mac. They would just draw these straight lines. Mac, my feelings on gerrymandering probably differs from a lot of people, because while I understand why Louisiana, right, for instance, they have gerrymandered, so to speak, the 5th district, and it's like just a line up Louisiana, and that is to make a black represented district, a black majority district. And so I understand why that has to be, but I still think it's unfair. I still think that it's unnecessary, or not unnecessary. I think that it's still I don't know what the right word is, but like I said, I think we should just be like, boom, boom, boom. There's your square, and may the best man win. Point blank, period. Mr. Jefferson, welcome.
Hello.
I'm glad you can make it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. I thought I did the green screen correctly, but clearly I didn't. I thought I saved it when I went to it.
Right. Well, you really can't use it until you get up on this live. So go ahead and do whatever you did, and then make sure you hit save, and you'll have it up in your background. I promise you. Okay. So now you're going to hit the camera button again. And when you hit the camera, you're going to hit... Oh, now I got to do it myself. Shoot. Okay, you go to effects, or effects should be lighted. Scroll all the way over till you see the arrow. It's like a up arrow.
Yes,
Click
ma'am.
on that. Then you should see the green screen choice. You're going to click on the very first green screen. It should give you a plus sign. You click on that plus sign, click your background, hit save.
Okay. All right. Okay, I did it.
Boom. Look, I'm with anyone who can follow directions, like boom, boom, boom. You already won my vote, baby. All right. So is it Cyril or Cyril?
So it's Cyril. It's like your favorite breakfast food.
Cyril. That's already a hard word for me. I can't say the regular cereal. So it's Cyril.
Just like that.
Okay, Cyril. Again, tonight we are talking to Cyril Jefferson, y'all. Let me tell y'all a little bit about what I found out about Cyril. He was born in Utica, New York. He became a new North Carolina resident after attending North Carolina A&T University. He is currently serving as the youngest ever elected mayor of High Point. High Point, y'all. Y'all know where High Point. Y'all been learning where High Point at. North Carolina. Mr. Jefferson is a small business owner and a former educator. He has been affiliated with the United Way, the Chamber of Commerce, the JCs, and Bloomberg Harvard City Leadership Initiative. Also, the NAACP and the United States Junior Chamber. His campaign emphasizes results over partnership, focusing on priorities that include supporting small businesses, expanding access to quality education, investing in infrastructure, and promoting economic opportunities across the district. He and his wife, Raven, teach their two sons the words of Winston Churchill. To improve is to change. To perfect is to change often. Y'all got that? Remember them words. Winston Churchill, why him?
Winston Churchill was a transformative leader, I say. He led during wartime, during the great world wars of the 20th century. And someone will tell you he wasn't a perfect man, but he was able to navigate a lot of challenges and able to overcome and constantly evolve because he believed that very thing we just said is that the only way you become, in our case, a more perfect union is that we have to be open to change. We cannot be stagnant. We cannot remain where we were yesterday. We know insanity teaches us that to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result is itself insanity. And so Winston Churchill and that quote we thought was so powerful. And if I could just clarify one thing, and these I don't know how the data gets out there like that. I moved to North Carolina when I was 3 years old. So I've been in Triad now 30 years. We first lived in Kernersville, then Winston-Salem, then moved to High Point when I was a freshman in high school. My mom and stepdad got married. My stepdad's a furniture upholsterer. And so if you know anything about High Point is the capital of the world.
It's the furniture capital of the world.
So in many cases, it was furniture that brought me to High Point. And I did graduate from North Carolina A&T. But yeah, I've been a North Carolinian for 30 years. And my wife and I are raising our two boys, as you said, right here in High Point.
Yeah. I lived in Raleigh for 5 years and then moved over to Greensboro for a year. I'm back in the DC area now, but I absolutely love North Carolina. And don't tell nobody, but I liked Greensboro better than Raleigh. So your current incumbent, Addison McDowell, are we like yes or no? Like,
I mean, how much time do you have, Melanie? I like to be an honest person, so I like to stick to the facts because I don't want people to think I'm just going to come up here and talk bad about a person. I'll stick to facts. 2 years ago, roughly, Melanie, Addison McDowell had gotten the Trump endorsement in the Republican primary election. And his team reached out. They wanted to sit down with me because at the time, me being mayor of High Point, North Carolina, High Point's the biggest city in his entire congressional district. And so he wanted to talk about, hey, as your congressional representative, I like to be able to work with High Point, work with the people on the ground. Can we help you build a better city and better community? And Melanie, being mayor of High Point, what do you think my answer is going to be? I'm going to say, yes, let's work together because that's what I was elected to do. That's why I took the oath of office. I'm going to work with whoever. If it helps High Pointers, that's my job. Well, we sit down for our lunch meeting. First thing out of his mouth, Melanie, is, Mr. Mayor, I know I got this Trump endorsement, but I don't want you to think I'm like one of those guys. I'm not one of those loyalists, those crazy MAGA loyalist types. Mind you, these were his words, not my words. I'm taking no editorial privileges right now. I'm just reciting pure facts. He volunteered this first thing as soon as we sit down. And I say, Addison, man, it's amazing that you would jump right to that. Because to be honest, I was a bit concerned. If you want to work together, let's find a way to work together. Well, imagine, Melanie, my optimism becomes deflated when the very first bill that he sponsors is to rename Dulles Airport after Donald J. Trump. Now, you live up there in the DMV area. Renaming Dulles Airport after Donald J. Trump, they done renamed all types of things up there. They're not addressing issues around affordability, which is what people wanted. They're not trying to make communities safer, which is what people wanted. All the things that they said people voted for in 2024, and the first thing you do is to go rename Dulles Airport after Donald J. Trump. That's the first bill you sponsor. It tells me that you got your priorities in the wrong place.
Exactly.
In New Mail, it was really jacked up when $40 million got taken from our district. $40 million that was supposed to go towards the south side of High Point, supposed to go in Salisbury, go in other parts of the district. For people who needed clean water, folks needed infrastructure projects to support housing and development in these communities. 40 million taken from our district so they could send it down to the border or send it to ICE to increase their budget. You talked to him about it, and he did nothing to protect this district and nothing to do what's right by the residents. And all he said was, well, President Trump won with a historic mandate. We're going to support his agenda. And I said, Addison, all due respect, this is not what you and I discuss. This is not in any way what you and I discussed. You said you were going to work with all people. You said you weren't one of those types. You said you weren't a loyalist. And all you've proven to do ever since you got in office is be a loyalist.
I mean, how much more can you do when you want to name the airport after the man?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That if that don't scream loyal, I don't know what does. Well, that's
against Trump, just to be clear. The only reason why he decided to vote to release the Epstein files is because Trump told him he finally could. He was going to go to his grave never voting against Trump. That's something I would almost guarantee at this point, Melanie.
well. So today, people, the goal of the day is to get him out and Cyril in. Okay, that's the goal for today. Well, so your counties, you have 3 counties that are fully, hold on, 3 that are fully part of the 6th district. That's Davidson, Davie, and Rowan. And then there are 3 counties that are partially represented, and that is Cabarrus, Forsyth, and Guilford.
Yep.
Yep, you're gonna be representing almost 800,000 people who has a median income of about $68,000 a year, and we're gonna get this poverty rating down past this 12% that it's already at, right?
Correct.
All right. So I think that's where I go. So now that you tell me, and this is my icebreaker, now that you tell me that you've been in North Carolina, because I was going to ask you at first, have you been here? But instead, I'm going to ask you like I was going to ask you in the first place. When was the last time you've been to Carowinds, and what do you like to ride?
I'll be glad to answer that. Now, for all the folks listening who are from Rowan County, they would be upset if I did not make sure that the record was straight, that they are called Rowan County. And they want to make sure you say Rowan. So I got to say that for all my peoples out in Rowan County and Salisbury and China Grove and East Spencer and all that. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, not too far from Rowan County is Carowinds. And growing up, we used to go to Carowinds, not every year, but every so often. I mean, I think there's a variety of them that I really like. Call me crazy. I used to really like Drop Zone. The one that would just raise you straight up the tower and then just drop you out of nowhere. I used to like that. I used to like any of the water rides. I'm probably not remembering all the names. I feel like was there a Superman roller coaster there at Carowinds?
I haven't been. I would, because I'm from the DMV. We went to King's Dominion.
Yeah. King's Dominion, Busch Gardens, Six Flags, right there in Maryland. Yeah.
Yes. That's what we went. But because, like I said, because I lived in Greensboro, I was turned on to Carowinds, and I was like, wait, y'all got a theme park up here? So, all right, well, that's what we're gonna do where we're gonna do the campaign, the celebration. We're gonna go to Carowinds.
All that. Listen, this campaign is a people-powered campaign. We're doing our best to make sure every single donation we get in is used as best visibility. Carowinds is a little too far outside our budget, if I could just be honest. So,
Oh no, we just gonna show up.
all right.
We just gonna show up with some balloons and some drink and say it's a party, y'all. It's for the people.
I'm seeing the chat. I didn't know Six Flags left in 2025. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, we got the Six Flags went out of business here. You know,
I can recall being a student at Howard University in my freshman year. This is before I transferred back home and went to A&T. I was a student at Howard right there in D.C. In my freshman year, we ended up going out to Six Flags right there in Maryland. And had a great time, and I didn't know it was closed.
so let me tell you a little history about Six Flags or where Six Flags was. Growing up, it was called Wild World, right? Wild World, okay? It then became Adventure World, and eventually it became Six Flags. So that theme park has had its share of turnovers. I don't know why it had to go through all of this, but maybe something else might go there, maybe not. I don't know what the plans are, but right now my focus is on getting this man up out of here. So let's get to your goals. So the way this is going to work is, matter of fact, I'm sorry, I have to do some housekeeping really quickly. Let me remind you and everyone else who we are. We are Our Vote Counts, a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to empowering voters, promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, and accountability in the upcoming elections. Formed by a collective of educators, veterans, small business owners, students, and community advocates, Our Vote Count represents the strength of unity across geography, race, and ideology. While our stories are different, our mission is the same: to ensure that every voice is heard and every vote truly counts. Through voter education, candidate outreach, and community engagement, we support leaders who are ready to serve the people, not special interests. By working across state lines and elevating local and national issues, we aim to increase voter turnout, inform public dialogue, and build momentum for lasting change. Our Vote Counts is more than a name. It's a promise, it's a movement, and it's a rallying cry for democracy. So together we are shaping the future, one informed vote at a time. So again, thank you everyone for being here. Remember, at any time you could come up and ask Mr. Cyril, I think I said that right. Cyril, a question, or you are welcome to put him in the chat and I will pose that question to him. We're gonna do this town hall like this. I have 5 topics that I'm gonna go through. In between the 5 topics, I'm gonna do what we call rapid fire, and these are gonna be quick answer questions, 1-2 words or yes or no questions. But we're gonna first start off with national security and immigration. Okay? You support bipartisan solutions like the Border Act in 2024, which add border agents, judges, and cutting edge FINTI, I have to say it like that, FINTI detection technology at legal ports of entry, where over 90% of the substance is caught. How do you plan to make sure these actions are taken once in office?
Yeah, so that Border Act that we referenced right there that you mentioned, that's on our website, it's in our policy positions. That was a Border Act that was actually brought forward by President Biden, going from his 3rd year into his 4th year of the last term. And it was actually a bipartisan Border Act that was not just President Joe Biden who was pushing for it, but you had Congress members, you had U.S. senators from both sides of the aisle who were going for this. It was a big deal. They said, hey, we can finally do something, make a big push to address issues in our legal immigration system. And it was an act that got killed by Donald Trump. Not because it was a bad bill. It got killed by Trump because Trump said, no, I don't want y'all to fix the issue. Because if y'all fix the issue, I won't have anything to run on in 2024. And so President Trump got all of his loyalists, all of his folks in Congress who basically, whenever he says jump, they say how high.
Right.
Every single one of those folks.
They unalived it.
Yeah, like, okay, we care about the issue, but President Trump, if you tell us this is best, we'll do it. Just like the folks who are like, yeah, we think we care about free trade, but if you tell us we should tariff everything, we'll do it. Oh, and by the way, we like limited government. But if you tell us that you should be a big government, we'll do it. Like, it really doesn't matter. Just to be clear, y'all, Republican Party, I got a lot of friends who are over there, right? I'm just a person who can understand and love people of different varieties. But even those folks will tell you, this is not a Republican Party of any real values. This is a Republican Party who says, what does Donald Trump want? We do. And so let's just be clear. When you talk about what real solutions look like going forward, we're going to have to be pragmatic and find ways to move through this thing. We can still protect our border, just to be clear, but we can also, on the other issue of deportations, go about it in a more humane way. Right now, what we've seen across our country is something that does not reflect American values. We have seen ICE run rampant. You heard me say it earlier, $40 million taken from our district to address neighborhood issues, to address water issues, water quality issues, to address infrastructure needs. That money taken from our district to go increase the budget of ICE. They basically gave ICE a budget bigger than the Israeli military over in Israel. And at one point, they were fighting 3 wars last year. Tell me how that makes sense. So ICE now has a budget bigger than the Israeli military. And they've got zero. We're going to give you a Zoom orientation. We're going to make you sit through maybe a couple webinars. We're going to get you a gun and a badge and a mask because we don't believe that people should see your face. And it's ridiculous. Now we're seeing folks getting killed. You could be American citizens or not American citizens. They will kill you. They've covered up murders. Chrissy Nome has.
You ain't saying all the hot words, sir.
Listen, I'm being honest, Melanie.
I understand. No. Listen, hold on. Give me 1 second. It's TikTok itself doesn't like certain words. They will flag the live for things like talking about DEATH. So DIE you can't say, KILL you cannot say. Don't ask me why. But these are words TikTok doesn't like, and they will flag it, and then we won't have no more live. You can't say smurder. We say smurder for that word. We say. You got to talk like you talking to your kids. Like you can't say GUNS. You got to talk like you talking to 5-year-olds.
That's why you said Fenty earlier.
Yes.
Okay, I get it now. Okay, all right, I'm understanding. So they out here smurdering folks. Let's just say it. They out here Bobby Schmurder on everybody. And it ain't right. So to be clear, as a mayor, I joined with hundreds of other mayors around this country to say that Congress should withhold funding from Department of Homeland Security until we get certain reforms in place in ICE. Let's just be very clear. These are reforms that the majority of American people agree with. Number one, take those masks off, dog. There's no reason you rolling up in communities, disappearing people off the streets, and we can't see your face. What makes you different from a kidnapper? Number two, put on a body camera. We need real accountability. We need to know that when you show up and do things, that you're not just giving us one side of the story, but we can see real facts. Number three, when you enter a building, let's follow our Fourth Amendment and use a warrant. Simple and plain. Don't just roll up in the premises taking folks. And number four, can we have any protected spaces? I mean, doggone it. Folks go to a place of worship. If I show up at church, I expect that that's my time with the Lord. Not some time that folks are rolling up trying to take people. If someone's at the hospital sick, getting treatment, they shouldn't be afraid to go to the hospital because they think someone's going to show up and throw them in the back of a van. Kids trying to go to school won't even show up for school no more because they're afraid that someone's going to kidnap them, hog time, and take them from their parents. People out here have been scared because the way that ICE, Department of Homeland Security, the way that they've been rolling is they've not been doing it in any type of way that represents American values. And I'm just a person who grew up in this country, probably just like you, Melanie, understanding the great American melting pot. And that's something that we were proud of. That's made America be the cutting edge in the world, is that we are the place that people want to be. People come here to make it and to see their dreams realized. But you know what happens, Melanie, is that great American melting pot that needs to be at a certain temperature and a certain consistency in order for it to melt and blend the way it's supposed to. What happens is you put too much ice in it and now it's frozen shut.
Well, you ain't said nothing but a word.
You got too much ice in it.
Exactly.
The American melting pot is no longer the American melting pot.
Oh.
It's rigid. It is cold.
It's a soup.
So like in my mind, these are common sense reforms that we got to be pushing for. It's kind of things that I'm pushing for. Last thing, man, I want to say this, and then I'll toss it back to you because you got me very excited about this conversation. I was at a summit a couple months ago. A group of mayors of us there, and this rabbi told this story that I thought was a really, really interesting story. He said, two hunters go into a jungle, and they happen upon a great big lion. And Hunter A says to Hunter B, he looks at him, he says, man, we should run to get away from this lion. And Hunter B looks back at him and says, you can't outrun a lion. And Hunter A looks back at Hunter B and says, I know. I don't have to outrun the lion. I just have to outrun you. Right? The rabbi told this story. Me and the other mayors around the room, we all laughed, right? We thought it was funny because it is funny in a way. But then the rabbi made it more plain for us. He made it touch home a little bit more for us, where he said, the problem is the hunter who gets away because he outruns Hunter B does not realize that lion has an insatiable appetite. And that lion, when he's done eating Hunter B, that lion is coming for Hunter A. So Hunter A may feel good for a little bit because in the short term, maybe you got away. But in the long term, that lion who will not stop until it has consumed every single thing it can possibly consume, it will come for you next. And that's the truth.
Indeed.
In America, we have an opportunity. Are we going to choose to say, oh, well, they focus on immigrants, so that ain't really my fight to fight, right? Are we going to say that? Because if we're going to say that, all we're really saying is, yeah, let's give them the permission to do whatever they want, to violate rights and every single basis of morale and human dignity to go after folks. And when we let that become the permission structure, I guarantee you, it just opens the door for them to come after every other group you can imagine. So I put that out there to all of our viewers for folks who may say, well, immigration is not really a big deal to me. Immigration may not be a big deal to you, but you know what should be a big deal to you? Human rights and human dignity. And should our government abide by rules and laws that have been set forth, or should they just be able to do whatever the heck they want to?
Exactly. So we got 5 topics to get through now. So this is the second one in here. You've stated that you would like to invest in cybersecurity, AI defense systems, and resilient supply chains while fully funding VA care, cutting claims backlogs, and helping service members transition into civilian careers. What steps will you support to strengthen cybersecurity for both government and private systems?
I mean, it's the kind of thing that you got to be invested in, and America has to be leading in the global economy when it comes to all things technology and cybersecurity. If we don't lead, someone else will lead. And someone else leading may not be what's best for American interests or for interests around the world. I stand pretty squarely in this fact, having been a mayor now for 2 years and having been on city council for 4 years before that I can tell you, it doesn't matter what neighborhood you go into. It doesn't matter what person you talk to. It doesn't matter what their background, their political persuasion, what their age is, or anything else about them. What all folks want is safety and security. The last thing they want to know is that they are vulnerable to some kind of threat or some kind of attack. And so cybersecurity, the way we show up for our military, the way that we fund them in a responsible way, is still critically important to all folks. And I don't know a person who doesn't say that they would like that safety and security. And that's probably a safety and security that folks like myself and others, maybe we take for granted because we don't know what it is to not have the world's largest military. We've always had it. And so we have to continue to stand up for our law enforcement and for our military to give them what they need to address crime and to address evil all over the world. And if we do that, then it gives us a chance to fight for rights that matter. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, if anyone, sorry, I'm going to remind everyone, if you have any questions for Cyril, please request up, or you can put them in the chat. I don't see anything at this time, but maybe they may have some questions when we move on to education. What specific strategies would you support to ensure that graduation rates in school districts within North Carolina's 6th congressional district, including counties like Davidson, and you said Rowan.
Yes, ma'am. You said it perfectly.
Okay, Rowan and portions of Forsyth and Guilford do not just match the state average, but also reflect strong progress for all students, particularly in underserved communities. So again, what strategies would you support to raise the graduation rates?
Yeah. Yo, simple and plain, being someone who worked in education, can tell you how important this is to the vision of the best kind of America, is that we make sure that every single student has opportunities, that they have every doorway open to them. And I think it starts with ensuring that all of our babies can read at a grade level that they're supposed to be at. And I can tell you, being an educator, being someone who works with organizations like Ready for School, Ready for Life, or Shift Ed, two organizations who really try to build a better system for our communities as it pertains to education, they've got the data that tells you that too many of our kids are showing up to kindergarten unprepared, where they didn't get the time spent on their ABCs and on sounding out words and so on and so forth. And so they come in behind, and then that just kind of slows them down going in. We need to invest on the front end. 90+% of brain development for a child happens before the age of 3. And so if we're going to get serious about it, then we got to get serious about taking care of our babies while they're young. I'd be someone who thinks that we ought to seriously explore universal pre-K. And I know that sounds tight because we try to figure like we have the budget for it. But the truth is, we have budget for things that matter. I just talked about our military, and I'm grateful for all our servicemen and women because I don't know what we do in this country without them. Our servicemen and women ensure that we could even have the future that we want to have. But what they fight for is for those values of freedom and for opportunity. And I think if they're going to be fighting for it, then we ought to make sure that they're fighting for a country that gives everyone a fair shot. And when we're not ensuring that every single child has the same level of education and care when they're at such a young age, then it just makes it really, really hard. And so, simple and plain, they are using third grade reading scores and third grade test levels to determine how many prisons they're going to build.
Right.
That is the simple correlation we all need to know how important this thing is. That if we care deeply, education is the front lines of everything. Education is the front lines of economic development. It's the front lines of affordability crisis. It's the front lines of addressing
Crime.
health disparities. Education absolutely matters, and we're gonna say that until it just becomes as real and as true for everyone needed.
Cyril, it is not often that we get a candidate up here who is already in office in some capacity. So it would behoove me not to ask you what changes have you seen in your 2 years as mayor to your education system that you can say you improved on? Because like I said, a lot of the times we get candidates who are fresh, they never run for anything. They just felt like they needed to be the change that they want to see. And they don't have a record to run on. So we want to know about your record. What improvements have you done in High Point, North Carolina, that will show us that you will be able to go to this Congress and get things done too?
Yeah. So since I've been in office since 2019, we've been fighting for a people first agenda. When I ran back in 2019, I remember being that young man who told folks and announced that I was running for office. And people, some of the older folks came and said, "Oh, young man, bless your heart. You're so young and maybe you ought to just wait your turn." And I remember my uncle telling me, he said, "Nephew, what you don't have in expertise and experience, you're going to make up for in energy. No one's going to knock more doors. No one's going to shake more hands, and no one's going to kiss more babies than you." And so we got to it. We got to the real work of meeting people where they are, listening to them to know what was on their minds, and then committing to doing something about it. And I'm grateful because over this past now 6 years since I've been in local government here in High Point, we've seen real changes. We've seen support for small businesses be vastly expanded, where now, whether it's businesses owned by people of color, owned by women, owned by folks with disabilities, it's just expanded. We created small business incubators and accelerator programs that didn't just come from government dollars, but I personally took the time to raise those monies from private interests as well, from private donors and private philanthropists to say, hey, can you come be a part of this mission? And we've invested now in hundreds of entrepreneurs to get them to a point that makes sense. We've invested in areas of our town that had historically been underinvested in. High Point, you go back to some generations, had Washington Street, known as High Point's Black Wall Street. And due to urban renewal and due to some other things that happened, High Point's Black Wall Street ended up not being quite that anymore. And I remember coming in the office and people saying, we really need to bring this back. This can be a real hub, a real epicenter of small business and commerce. Can we bring it back? And I'm so grateful and so excited to say that we are well on our way. You go down to Washington Street now and you can see the cranes moving because new construction, new development is happening. And it's not just new development happening in the way that you might consider gentrification. What's happening is that these were places and communities that were Black owned properties, and those properties are still Black owned. They were Black owned businesses, and those businesses are still Black owned. And so we're proud to see that work happening because we found a way through public-private partnerships to realize this vision and dream of restoring High Point's Black Wall Street to its former legacy. So I'm very proud of that. You often hear people say, oh, Democrats become mayors and then, the city's just not safe anymore. Dear friends, I'm very proud to say that ever since I've become mayor, year over year, our average in terms of homicides is down 67% since I've become mayor. And we're very proud of that work because our law enforcement works really doggone hard to make that happen. But it's not just law enforcement in the traditional sense. It's also how you enable and empower communities and neighborhoods to be able to police themselves, to be able to say, hey, here's what we want in our community. Here's how we're going to work together and be able to do the kind of investments in those communities that give people hope and opportunity. What we find is that people say, hey, I've got pride in my city. And I want to do what's right by my city because I know my city takes care of me and loves me. And so we've been doing really good work in the city of High Point to address those issues. So homicide down, small business investment, won a big award a few years ago, an All-American City Award, my first year as mayor, because of the work we did to address food insecurity. About 2 years ago, we were the hungriest city in America. That's not just me saying it. Those were the stats. It said High Point's issues in terms of food insecurity and food hardships were worse in the nation. And thankfully, we've moved the needle quite a bit on that. We've been innovative in that we've taken empty lots and turned them into urban gardens. We've taken old surplus equipment like our trucks and whatnot and have turned them into now these grodegas, these mobile grocery stores that go from community to community. On the question of education, here in the state of North Carolina and here in the city of High Point, we don't have oversight or any authority over our education. Our county has that. So Guilford County Board of Education and Guilford County commissioners provide all the funding and oversight to it. Now, don't get me wrong, High Point folks still get taxed for it, right? We still get taxed to be able to pay for our schools, but we've literally got no authority and no oversight. That being said, we still do everything we can to advocate for our schools and for our kids and for our students, whether it's me being able to celebrate all of our honor roll students or the fact that my wife is the executive director of an organization called High Point Schools Partnership, which is leaning in to support all of our schools in terms of education. We try to take care of our teachers to make sure that they know we are here for them. And one of the biggest things we're pushing for is advocating for more funding so that way our teachers get paid better and that you have more investment per student. And
That's my next question. So go ahead.
that we advocate for and that we push for. Unfortunately, being in city government means that we just have no authority and no governance over schools. But that doesn't mean that we don't still try our best from where we are as partners with the school system to be there for them, right? During the time of coming out of COVID, they had issues finding bus drivers. Well, we gave all students free transportation on city buses. Didn't matter who they were. We wanted to make sure that students could get to school on time and for free, and they didn't have to worry about it. Those are the kind of partnerships that we put in place. When it's time to build and put new sidewalks in our city, we prioritize putting new sidewalks in places where we have our schools so kids can be able to walk from their neighborhoods to their school safely with no issues. So we do everything we can to partner with our school system, both what me and my wife do personally, and then in my capacity as mayor, and then in what our local government does. When I go to Congress, that's going to be a big push. We can't close down the Department of Education. When we close down the Department of Education, basically what you're saying is your federal government doesn't want to be invested in education anymore. We're going to let the states handle it. And there's a reason why we stopped letting the states handle it. It was because when we let the states handle it, that's why we had segregation. That's why we had black kids in one classroom and white kids in another classroom. Now, people say, well, segregation ain't an issue no more. We still see issues of underinvestment and disparities taking place, and federal government should really lean in and do something about that. So we should be the enforcers who hold folks accountable to make sure every child has what matters, not shutting down our Department of Education.
And that's my third question is how will you ensure the federal education dollars are used effectively and equitably to improve student learning opportunities across the state? Get out my head, sir. Get out my head. Go ahead. How will you ensure that?
And hopefully I was able to answer your question.
Yes, you did. He said that was good. Like I said, we were talking about how will you ensure that. You said the oversight committees, right? We were going to talk about teacher recruitment and retention remain a challenge. What ideas do you have at the federal level to ensure competitive teacher pay and support the educators in your state? Do you want to elaborate on that any at all?
I mean, simply put, North Carolina has to be more invested in education. And I'm running for U.S. House, but there are a lot of good folks running for the state House and state Senate, and those folks impact what the state invests in education. What I'm saying is at the federal government level, which is the position I'm running for, that we will make sure the federal government does not disinvest, that the federal government does not shut down the Department of Education, that the federal government makes a stance clear that as a country, we can't realize the future that we're trying to have until we're invested in education. And at the state level, we want to make sure that all of our folks who are running for General Assembly, those good folks who are fighting on the front lines for education as well, that they get a chance to go in.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Again, I remind everyone, if you have any questions for Cyril, please request up or put your questions in the chat. Well, this is my first rapid fire that we're about to go to. All right, you ready? Tax the rich more or cut taxes for everyone?
Tax the rich more or cut taxes for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get cut taxes like literally for everyone, like just like bring taxes down.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be some people who we will be cutting taxes for, like people who are on fixed incomes, who are retired and all they get is Social Security. How do we make sure, for example, when it comes to property tax and property valuation increases, can we somehow find a way to stabilize them? Because now that they're on fixed income, they can't have their property tax go up every single year. So we'd love to see tax be cut for them. But for those folks who make gobs and gobs of money, we want to see them pay their fair share. And part of the issue is not just whether or not we have a tax rate that is commensurate with like achieving success. Part of the issue here, Melanie, to be honest, is that you have too many loopholes in the process. And so you've got billionaires out here paying the same amount in terms of income tax as your everyday teacher. And that just ain't right. Like the system was not set up for that. The system's set up for if you do well because of American capitalism, then like pay your fair share back into the system, because otherwise we won't have a country that can thrive without it.
Right. Term limits, yes or no?
Yes, absolutely. If you go to my page, we're pushing for 12-year term limits. So that way in the House, you can't run for more than 6 terms. In the Senate, you can't run for more than 2 terms. We believe term limits are how you get clarity and courage. If you pay attention to Tom Tillis right now, he finally got a little bit of clarity and courage when he was on his way out. And that's our U.S. Senator. And he finally doesn't mind speaking up about issues because he's on his way out. If you didn't have so many folks fighting to be forever politicians, then I think you'd find more people being willing to have that level of honesty and accountability.
Agreed. When you bring that money back to your districts, do you hope they fix the roads first or public transit?
You gotta have both. And Melanie, I ain't trying to be a cop-out on here, but if you talk about just doing roads, just doing public transit, you literally got to have both.
I agree, but okay. Rent control, support or oppose?
Rent controls, we've not had those here in North Carolina, and that's like you don't see that leverage here in North Carolina. And so I honestly haven't learned a ton about their efficacy. I know in other places some folks use them. So admittedly, that probably something that I need to spend a bit more time learning about to see if it truly is effective. The idea is that like it works so people can stay in their homes. You see in places like New York City or in Seattle, So I want to see what that looks like and just learn more about it.
Okay. What's the biggest issue facing your community right now?
I think the affordability crisis is the toughest thing. People are finding it really, really hard to live based on cost of living. And I think the other biggest crisis is that we just don't trust government anymore. And so we got to find a way for government to be held accountable and to be above reproach.
All right. One word to describe your leadership style.
Collaborative.
Okay. What's the one way to make your government more transparent? To make this government more transparent?
Government reforms, like the ones we're pushing for, term limits, ain't no trading stocks while you're in Congress, being able to ban folks from going to lobbying gigs as soon as they get out of Congress, and ensuring that we override Citizens United. So that way you don't have a bunch of dark money in our politics. So those are big reforms that we've been pushing for. We believe that makes government more transparent and more accountable.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Well, let's talk a little bit about social programs. Okay, so your platform says that you'd protect programs like Medicaid and Medicare. How would you work in Congress to ensure these remain fully funded and accessible to families and seniors in your district?
Yeah, I mean, simple plan, we got to fund it. It's hard to live the American dream when you don't feel healthy enough to be able to work for it and fight for it and so on and so forth. And so just in terms of where the American people are at on this, they want to see Congress fund healthcare. And part of me thinks it's not just the issue of do we put funding into it. I think it's also about how we fix the healthcare system. I think right now, big healthcare is incentivized to bring you in for different services over and over and over again because they make money in terms of fee for service. Whereas you've got another solution out there regarding value-based care, which is thinking, hey, how do I make sure I take care of my patient such that they really don't need to come back to see me because we're doing the necessary preventative work that keeps them out of the hospital and keeps them happy and healthy and whole. Right now, our healthcare system is not set up that way. Our healthcare system is incentivized to say, how many tests did you run? How many drugs and pills did you give them? How many procedures did you get to conduct on this patient, right? Can you refer them to more specialists? And if you do that, your hospital makes more money. And listen, I'm not one of those folks just talking about it. I tell you, because I've been on a board for a healthcare system, or at least I've been on board for a healthcare system where these are real conversations we have. And it's because that's the way the system is set up. I'm not blaming that healthcare system or the board that I was on. That's the way the incentive was set up. It was set up to say, how many services can we get people in for so we can make more money? And when you're incentivized to keep having people come back, well, the only way I keep having you come back is that you got to not feel well. So I think we have to change our system.
Absolutely. How will your healthcare and hunger relief proposal help working families living paycheck to paycheck in District 6?
Yeah, I mean, be heavily invested in the work around agriculture and food. It's interesting because you go back just a few generations and just communities of color like ours, like we understood the power of agriculture, of being able to grow our own food, so on and so forth. And in our city, we've got really invested in what it is to empower people. So when we talk about turning some of our empty, vacant lots into these urban gardens, it wasn't just like, oh, city's going to hire some staff and go out there and do it. No, like we're going to empower communities to be able to do that. Oh, and by the way, we're going to create a farmer's market, an opportunity where we attract people to that farmer's market for you to sell the produce that you grow. So that way now you're creating your own business. So now we've got these agricultural professionals who are growing food, who are also selling food. And I think that kind of ecosystem is so huge and so important. I mean, simple and plain, hunger is a healthcare issue. And the way we eat is a healthcare issue. You often hear it said that food is medicine. And so the way we get invested in what we do for food security is also how we get invested for healthcare.
Absolutely. One of our OVC members She is in North Carolina. She's in the Rayford, Fayetteville area, and she is currently working on a proposal to have a indoor farmers market. And so we rooting her on with that because she also knows how important it is that, you know, we get good healthy food. And yeah, there you go, CC. That we get good healthy food and I don't know, maybe, you know, if y'all could connect and you can kind of help her figure out what things she needs to do to make this happen in her area.
Is her name Sianka?
Her name is Sianka. Yes.
The next time I see Mayor Mitch Colvin, who's a buddy of mine he's the mayor down in Fayetteville, I will make sure to tell him about this idea and ask that he give it some real consideration.
Excellent. There you heard that, CC. All right. Now, economic development. Well, no, let me go back. I still had this question. What changes, if any, would you support to strengthen SNAP benefits and ensure food assistance keeps up with inflation and family needs? So we know how they tried to take a stab at that earlier this year. What we doing about the SNAP benefits?
Yeah, I mean, look, we actually made a push several months ago when SNAP and food benefits were under threat to reach out to Congress and to advocate. I stood with a bunch of mayors around the country to say that hungry communities are not healthy communities, and that we have to make sure that we take care of folks and that we feed folks. We also made it clear. It's funny. I was chatting with some folks in this district that I'm running in, and they were like, "Well, how are you going to convince some of these folks out here, some of these rural folks, farm folks, that they need to care about some of these issues and social programs for people in urban areas?" And I said, I mean, if I just be honest with you, one of the greatest outcomes in terms of our SNAP and food benefit programs is not just that it feeds hungry bellies, but that it also subsidizes a lot of small businesses. A lot of farmers would not be in business if it were not for food stamps and WIC and so on and so forth. And so when you think about it, it's often easy for someone to say, yeah, let's get rid of those social programs because we don't think those folks deserve to have food for whatever reason. Oh, and by the way, do whatever you can to help my uncle's farm. Well, your uncle's farm is probably selling food to the federal government that's paying for that. So just to be real, like, farmers are subsidized by that work. And I think we got to make the case to people to say that there are ways that we can do two things at the same time. Mm-hmm. Feed people and support small businesses. And those same people who are being fed, continue to work with them to realize educational opportunity. So that way they're able to grow in terms of their earning potential and they can see economic and social mobility.
I mean, do they not realize that if a vendor at a farmer's market takes EBT, that their product now gets sold? Do they not?
No, I mean, look, I think you get a lot of people who get propaganda sold to them to say, oh, yeah, all these, I'm just using the Reddit. They'll say all these illegal folks are taking all this food from the government and it's taking food out of your stomach. And it's like, no, the people who rely on those benefits, if they didn't have folks relying on those benefits, then most of these farmers would be out of business right now. And so just calling it what it is. And in fact, if anything, not enough black farmers have benefited from programs like that. You got a lot of black farmers out there who do great work, but they'll tell you that the system a lot of times is stacked up against black farmers. And so, yeah, no, we got to make the case. We got to make it clear. We know that there is a powerful force out there that lies to people and doesn't give them the truth. And all we want to do is give them the truth.
All right. Well, I'm going to again remind everyone, you are welcome to request up or put your comments in the chat. I see the engagement. Keep it up, please. So let's then roll right into economic development and infrastructure. Now, when I asked you the question earlier about roads or public transit, you say they gotta work hand in hand, which I often say too, that people say public transit. I'm like, but then the bus is riding on janky roads. So we kind of got to do both at the same time. Your platform emphasizes bringing federal dollars back to modernize roads, rails, broadband in the 6th district. What specific federal grant programs or funding streams would you prioritize to deliver these improvements?
So I can tell you again, having been on city council and having been mayor, that those programs that we've benefited from, federal programs, if you go look up the names of them, the names change with every presidential administration. Not trying to be funny here, but for example, we got USDOT RAISE grant. It was like $19.8 million to do an investment to expand urban greenway in our city, which would make it where multimodal passengers could get where they needed to. So it connected neighborhoods to the core of our city. So if you needed to get to hospital and grocery stores and school and work and so many other things, you now had a better pathway if you were a pedestrian or a bicyclist or what have you. Well, that $19.8 million is fantastic. We're working on it. I was in a session the other day with city council, and our budget folks said, yeah, we're working on this grant. And whatever the name they said, I said, I don't know what grant that is. I've never heard of us getting that grant. When did we get that grant? They said, oh, this is the $19.8 million that used to be called USDOT RAISE grant. So to be clear, I don't know why they do it. I think they do it because they don't want the previous administration to get credit for it. So every presidential administration comes in, and there could have been a grant that in that last year, the previous president, they had one name, and then when they come in, they change the whole name entirely. So that way, when you go back and you talk about that grant, you're talking about that person and that president, and not the previous president. So, anywho, I mean, you kind of heard me just talk about the work we've done here in the city of High Point, that you can continue to do that work at the federal level to make sure that we partner with local municipalities on their infrastructure projects. I just mentioned Addison McDowell, who is the incumbent in this seat, allowed $40 million to walk away from our district. And when I say $40 million, I'm not talking about money that we were applying for while he was a Congress member. I'm saying money that had been sought and applied after, had been approved. Some of these projects were already getting started. He came into Congress. President Trump said, we're taking all that money and we're going to give it to ICE because we got an invasion on our hands. Mm-hmm. And Addison McDowell was like, hey, that's what the president wants. I know our district was relying on those critical projects, but they're going to have to wait. And now, like, people are going back to him. He's like, I can't help you. Like, what's the point of you being in office? If your whole thing is, hey, we're just going to do whatever President Trump wants, then just say that on the campaign trail that, hey, right now, whatever President Trump wants, I will be a vote for that. It doesn't really matter to me what you all want or what you all think is best. If you think what President Trump is best doing, that's what I will do. And just make that your platform. Be honest about it. Don't lie to people. Just be honest.
So he is running again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think any representative should go into Congress thinking I'm going to back the president 100%, because your district, your constituents may not be wanting whatever the president, whomever that is, may be proposing. So you need to keep your mind on the people, right? All right. So you talk about SBA microloans and Main Street Accelerator funds. How would you expand or strengthen these programs to help entrepreneurs and small business owners in North Carolina 6?
Yeah, so I kind of alluded to this earlier when I talked about some of the programs that I've led already, where High Point's Black Wall Street, which is Washington Street, is the exact kind of thing that a Main Street Accelerator program talks about, where basically we got investment that would invest into properties, that would also invest into attracting small businesses, that would help subsidize some of their operations as they get up going, that would also market and bring more customers and patrons to the district, and basically is a way to support that small business ecosystem down there, as well as supporting that neighborhood. Organizations like the Small Business Administration have all types of levers that you can pull in partnership with them. And we've already been in touch. We've already been working with them to make sure that our small businesses have whatever they need to engage the SBA to get the funding and support that they need. Okay,
great. Y'all, I love it. I love it when you already have someone who's already working this system. I absolutely love it. Like I said, it's rare that we get someone who's already doing the work, right? Okay, so what's your stance on bipartisanship? A lot of the times, we get candidates that said, I'm standing firm, I'm not, backing down, or ain't no working across the aisle anymore. you're gonna have to, in some place, if we want this to function properly, there has to be bipartisanship. Where's your stance on that?
Yeah, my stance is clear. You take an oath to the people, not to your party. And our responsibility is to do whatever is necessary to help move people forward. And so, if there are opportunities like that bipartisan border bill that I mentioned before, that we think is what the American people want, we'll stand up for it. We're going to work together on that. Just like if there's bipartisan legislation that brings infrastructure funding into the district, we're going to work together on that. Just like if there's bipartisan funding that helps bring safer communities or address issues around food insecurity and homelessness, we're going to work together on that because our oath, again, is to the people and not to a party. And to be clear, I don't now look, I can't speak for everyone in the Democratic Party, which is the party that I'm in. I can't speak for all of them. But I would assume all the good ones in the party recognize that, yeah, like your main job is to do the will of the people, to serve in the best interest of the people, and that all this political stuff we do is really just a means to an end. And that end is better government, better government for the people. And so, yes, I look, being mayor and being on city council means that that we've got a responsibility, and I've had that responsibility of working with folks of different political parties at different levels. So on city council, we got Democrats, Independents, Republicans, county commissioner, same thing. School board, same thing. Our state delegation in the General Assembly, same thing. Our federal delegation, same thing. And we find ways of common interest to be able to work together for the people, because that's what we get elected in office to do, and that's the oath that we take.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Cyril, we are going to go into my second rapid fire, and this one is a little more fun. That one was more political. This one's going to be a little more fun, okay? And I want one-word answers. All right. Sports car or pickup?
Pick up.
Okay. Text or call?
Call.
Would you rather see the future or change the past?
See the future.
See the future. Horror or comedy? Horror? Oh, goodness. Would you rather travel by plane or by car?
Depends.
How far you got to go?
Where you gotta go, yeah.
Okay. Dressing on the side or dressing on top?
Oh, we're talking like salad dressing.
Yes.
Oh, on top.
Okay. Crunchy peanut butter or smooth peanut butter?
Crunchy.
What is wrong with you people tearing up your bread? Strawberry milk or chocolate milk?
Chocolate.
He said chocolate. Your favorite historical place in North Carolina?
Anything in High Point. High Point's the best city on the planet. What else you want me to say?
That's a lie.
I'm the mayor of High Point. You want me to say anything else?
Yes. I want you to say the counters in Greensboro.
Woolworth County is dope. That's dope too.
But anything in High Point, you down with it. I mean, High Point is also a very historical place. So, last question, and the most important question. UNC or Duke?
Duke.
Okay, y'all, live over. Do not vote for this man. He got to go, okay? He said Duke, y'all. I don't even want to repeat it. He said Duke. Okay, I don't know how I'm gonna go on now, but I'm gonna get it together.
I really appreciate this conversation.
I know, y'all. I know it's going in and out. It's a little volume thing, but we about to get through it. I know, Tar Heels, woo, woo, woo. I mean, I would even took it if you said neither Aggies, okay, since you are A&T graduate, but you went to, okay. Anyway, so let's talk about housing and affordability, okay? Housing affordability. What do you see as the most urgent housing affordability challenges facing residents in District 6, and what specific actions should Congress take to address them?
It's a supply and demand issue. You go back to 2007, 2008 financial crisis. And at the time, because of the trouble that the banks had gotten us into, lending really slowed down, and risk was something that not a lot of folks wanted to take. And so home builders stopped building at the rate that they were building. In fact, the data shows that the shortage of building across the country on average was about 500,000 units per year. And so you go back now 18 years to 2008. And since that time, we've built at a rate that was about 500,000 less than what we needed to do. And you begin to think, man, how many homes are we short here to keep up with our population growth? And so I think we got a supply and demand issue. I think we just have to build more homes. We have to have the zoning changes and permitting reforms that support that. We also have to invest in infrastructure for homes to be built. We also have to look at other ways that the housing market is impacted when big corporations come in and buy up homes in single family neighborhoods, and they price people, everyday people, out of the market. And what we do to restrict them from being able to do that, I think, is essential.
Okay. What policies would you advocate for to assist people experiencing homelessness or being unhoused, or those risked at losing housing due to economic hardship? What policies do you find to help that?
For our unsheltered folks
Correct.
who are experiencing homelessness, I think we got to address the issue of housing affordability, but we also got to address the issue of other supports that are needed for people experiencing homelessness, whether it's mental health, food security, workforce development. We have to have a very well-rounded and holistic approach to the work.
Okay, cool. If elected, what measurable goals would you set for improving housing affordability in your district over the next 2 to 4 years, and how would you track this progress?
Yeah, so simple and plain, we want to look at like how many more homes are we putting out per year compared to before I was elected. We also want to look at the construction time. How long does it take to get from someone submitting a permitting process to being having those homes fully delivered? I think those are two key performance indicators that tell us how well we're doing on this issue. And then what was your second question?
Sorry, I was coming off mute, and I was asking how will you track it, but that answered both by saying that you will keep track of how many homes are built compared to. So you basically answered both. Let's touch a little bit on healthcare. Okay, we have heard over and over most people on people platforms is universal healthcare. How does that look for you? How do we make sure that every American are getting the coverage they need and the access they need?
I mean, Melanie, I'm gonna go back to something I said earlier. Right now, our system for healthcare is just jacked up. The fact that big healthcare is incentivized to make you come back to them for more tests, more procedures, more pills. Like that is their MO. No offense to them. And I'm not knocking people who are doctors. My first cousin is a medical doctor. Love the work he does. He takes the Hippocratic Oath, and he's a man of faith, man of God, who works every single hard to take care of his patients. Where we're looking at metrics for success, and we're asking, how many procedures did we run this month? How many referrals did we make for medicine and pills? How many appointments did we have? Well, our emergency room is our cash cow because it sees so many people. Like, we're talking about money, and I almost have to pause every time we do it and say you realize we're talking like it matters to us in a good way that we got people wanting to come get procedures and all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, if someone's not feeling well, take care of yourself, get the health care. But America, as a Western country, has the incentive all wrong. If we incentivize where folks did not feel like they need to come in because we do more preventative measures, that's the real approach to it. and that would drive down healthcare costs significantly. And question: someone said, "Will you support the Black Omnibus Act in Congress?" Yes, I've answered plenty of questionnaires on that and said yes to that. So yes.
All right. You can never mix profit with best outcome. All right. So basically, you're saying that we need to focus on prevention over coverage.
No.
Okay.
Like Big Kev, and I may not be saying your name right, Big Kev 308, I think the way he said is pretty good. He said, you can't mix profit with best outcome. I think what I see Kev saying is like, yo, hospitals are saying, what are my profit margins? And it's based on, am I getting as many people to come into the hospital as possible? Mm-hmm. If their goal is to make a lot of money, then they're focused on trying to get you to come back into the hospital. How do we get you to come back into the hospital, Melanie, if we're not making sure that you got a reason to come back? Right? Like, you think about the way cars are built now compared to cars back in the day. I always have my grandparents say this, like, oh, grandson, back in the day, you could have a car and have it for 30 years with no issues because they built cars to last. Well, along the way, capitalism took over. It's always been a thing, but it hit someone's mind and they're like, yo, we need to be building cars that people want to get rid of within 5 to 10 years. Otherwise, how are we going to sell more cars? And so if that becomes the incentive, you're no longer building a car that someone can drive forever. You're building a car that they can drive for a short term. It's the same thing in healthcare, unfortunately. You have, and again, it ain't the doctors. Doctors are trying their best. But the people up top who are driving a lot of those profit margins are like, yeah, I'm trying to find ways to get as many people in here as possible. That's why you see in the newspaper people who get caught for cheating because maybe they billed too many Medicaid bills or coded too many things wrong because they're trying to show like, yeah, we saw as many people as possible. And so for us, it really wasn't about like, hey, how healthy are you? So that way you feel healthy and stay healthy. It was no, how many times can we treat you?
Right. Let me 1 second. So currently the guy that is the incumbent for your district, he is, I'm trying to double check, he's a Republican, right? All right. So how are you going to convince those voters that you are the man for the job in that district?
Yeah, I mean, the way we convince anyone is by being true and listening. Like the issues we trying to fight for are the issues that matter to folks. You heard me say this earlier, Melanie, that we're pushing for government reforms that make government more accountable, more honest, better working for the people. And I'm on record telling people that if you were to tell me future state, push out 3 years from now, Cyril, you win this election, you only get to serve for 2 years, and there's one major thing you get done is government reform that makes Congress better for serving the people, I'd be fine with that, Melanie. I wouldn't need to run for re-election. God honest truth. I'm not here to be a forever politician. I love my family and the time I get to spend with them. I love the work I do in my regular day job. Like, I love it. I'm only doing this because there was a real need for it, because this guy ran unopposed last go round and has not been accountable to the people of this district. We're trying to give folks a better choice and better representation. And so we are pushing for reforms that will ensure that whoever you get into these seats in future go round, they're not people trying to stay in these seats forever and just get reelected. They're not people who are trying to make votes that increase their investment portfolio. They're not people who are trying to make decisions in the best interest of special interests because they're trying to get a lobbying gig, or not people who are only making votes and decisions because of their big donors. We're trying to change all that. We're trying to make Congress more accountable to the people, work for the people. And that's what matters to me. I believe that when you have that, all these other issues we're talking about, they can get addressed, Melanie. We'll be better about addressing housing and affordability. We'll be better about addressing healthcare. We'll be better about addressing mental health. We'll be better about addressing the education and achievement gap. We'll be better about every single one of those things because we'll have better people in office with better motives and better intentions. I honestly believe that when you give people the incentive to do wrong, unfortunately, they do it. I'm not trying to shade people, but when it's set up for me to abuse systems, most people abuse those systems. Most people don't go in and say, oh, let me not trade stock. Most people are like, oh, it's legal for me to trade stock, even though I know what's about to happen in the market because we're having those discussions in private rooms. And I know before we take the vote, so I can go trade my stock to make a whole bunch of money off of that vote I just took. There ain't nothing illegal about it because anyone who can tell me it's illegal is in this room with me and they all doing the same thing. Oh, change that. Change that today. And I'm of the kind of thinking that says, like, yeah, I'm a Democrat, but I've said this too. Like, honestly, whoever's in Democratic leadership, you're not going to have my support if you can't support these reforms. You can't tell me, God honest truth, why do Congress members need to trade stock while they're in office?
Right.
Like, why? Serve your time to serve the people, do right by the people, then get out of office. Go trade as much stock as you want to. You feel like you need to trade stock while you got insider information? That's wrong.
Yeah.
Insider trading sends people to jail.
I mean, make your connections and then to go do what you do.
I want to ensure Congress, like, we do it for the right reasons. And I make my peace and I'm able to sleep at night and find peace. And I know that when I die, I'm going to see my creator because I ain't out here faking the funk. And I want to make sure that we have the kind of Congress that can live with real morals and integrity.
Absolutely. Now, a question was asked earlier. It said, you helped raise 10 million for small businesses. Did the doubters change their tune about you?
I mean, some of those doubters didn't think we needed to be helping small businesses. Some of those doubters were like, they're a small business. They need to figure it out on their own. I'm like, yo, like, if you don't recognize that for up until like literally when my parents were born, you had plenty of banks who wouldn't give loans to black businesses. So they couldn't get ahead. They couldn't do what other businesses were doing. So plenty of businesses got an unfair advantage. Let's not try to make this a political or race thing. Let's just call it facts. We know that in some of our lifetimes, that businesses were not financed by banks because banks would not give them loans. And it was okay for them to do that. It was okay to say, yeah, we don't sell to your kind around here. So you don't think white businesses got a head start? Okay, if they got a head start, what do we do to address the racial wealth gap? And some people will say it ain't government's job to do that. Well, no. You thought it was government's job when the financial crisis came and the banks were all about to be in real big trouble and all your deposits were about to be gone. You said, government, I need you to bail me out. I need my money. If you work in the big automotive industry and you are investing in that, you need that big automobile bailout. Like, people have no problem with the government helping them. They just got a problem with the government helping someone else.
Absolutely. They've been helping. I mean, like, isn't that what really, like, why the government was put in place? To help everyone that they was trying to build this nation that it said, okay, look, we're going to give these people a little bit so they can strive and get better. And then we just going to build on. And then voila, you got the greatest nation in the world. It didn't happen because somebody came here and worked and did it. What good did that do?
Yeah. I mean, look, I like to think of cities, communities, heck, our country as a place where you want it to be fertile ground for people to make it. And fertile ground, I think of, you go out here and plant something in your ground, and if it don't grow, it means something about the ground ain't right. You need to address what's in the ground. So our city, our country has to be fertile ground for people to make it. How do we create conditions that don't limit people's potential? And so if we can make it fertile ground, then those who want to take advantage of those things will take advantage and they'll grow and they'll blossom and they'll bloom in all the most beautiful ways possible. And as a country, we're going to be very, very, very proud of those folks. We're going to be very proud of ourselves. But none of us want to be barren land. Like, we don't want to be that.
Absolutely. Mayor Jefferson, this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I am rooting for you. If I was still living in Greensboro, I don't know if you've been my district though. I think I was District 6. Now that I'm thinking about it, you would have my vote, sir. You would have my vote. I'm 100% about that. Right now I'm worried. I can worry about the man that's down the street. And every day I drive past there, I say, It's against the law, Mel. It's against the law. But anyway, I want you just to remind these folks, what is the one thing you want voters in District 6 to remember about you when they head to the polls? Remind them of when they need to go to those said polls and how they can support you and find you on all the socials.
Yeah, so you can check us out, cyrilforcongress.com. Cyril spelled Cyril. I think you see the website right above my head there. All of our socials either are under Cyril for Congress or they're under my name, Cyril Jefferson. And you can find us very simply that way. And let's get connected, right? If you're a real person on IG, for example, you follow me, I'm going to follow back. I just believe in connection in that way. So let's keep in touch. And look, folks going out there to the polls, we got 7 days to primary election day. Guys, you keep the name Jefferson in mind. If you're like me, you grew up watching George and Wheezy. So when you hear the name Jefferson, just think about moving on up. I love y'all.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Move on. Y'all gonna be moving on up. Y'all, thank y'all all for coming here tonight. I appreciate you all. I appreciate the audience engagement. We are doing this with our vote counts. We are doing this to platform people just like this. Okay? We want real people that speak in real language that's going to do real things. And I couldn't have been more happy with this town hall. But we got another one coming up at 8 o'clock. So if you would like to stick around, Cyril, and check out Sarah, that would be great. We're going to shut down, but then we're going to come back. So you can come on back, check out what Miss Sarah's speaking about. She is running for governor of Wisconsin. So that's the Tim's seat, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tim Walz? Yes.
Yeah.
So she's trying to take over for Tim Walz. She is at 8 o'clock tonight. So hopefully we have a very good live and town hall with her. Also coming up, Cyril, I would love to invite you to one of our roundtables. So with our roundtables is that we bring candidates that we previously spoke with. Typically it's someone running for the 120th congressional class. Get y'all together, put y'all heads together. So y'all kind of already go in there with a plan. I promise you this. I love to see it every other Sunday and watch y'all just, feed off each other. And hopefully we can get some of y'all in. I said I'm going to show up on January, whatever date it is, y'all swear in. And I'm like, I got them in there. I got her in there. when y'all swearing in, I promise you. So again, we have on March 1st, March 15th, and March 29th. So if you can make any of them, that is on a Sunday at 3 o'clock. We would love to have you. Look for that email in your in your information, right? Waltz is Minnesota. Okay, so that's Gretchen. That's Whitmer. Her name, her.
Michigan. I actually can't remember the governor of Wisconsin.
Oh, that's Michigan. Who is Wisconsin? All of them, they all the same to me. They all the same. Okay, Ayana, I got it. Also, we have our Creators Caucus that's coming up. So the Creators Caucus is at on March 7th. And we are getting TikTok creators from all over to come and tell us what they've been hearing from the people. So this might be something you want to listen in on too, so you can really hear what the people in the streets are talking about and what they're expecting of their Congress people that they elect into the 120th class. So I encourage everyone to come to the Creators Caucus. We're going to have some of these big names that y'all go see in these TikTok streets every day. And it's going to be a great conversation. Last but not least, if you would like to do what I'm doing and interview candidates like Mr. Mayor Jefferson here, please go to our DMs. Sign up to be a moderator. You can ask the tough questions too and be a part of the change that you want to see. With that being said, let me remind you all of who we are. We are Our Vote Counts, OVC for short. a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we're building a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. So make sure you continue to join us, because your vote is your power. Thank you, Mayor Jefferson. Thank you, everyone out there. Thank you, OVC team. Y'all make sure y'all have a good night.